Hi there, I'm Mark and I'm here to talk to you today about receiving signals from the GSE. So when you come into the GSE, you'll be presented with the splash screen, which gives you the summary of the GSE and the total number of signals we've received over the last few days and various other metrics. From here, we're going to look on the left-hand side at where we see the marketplace. Now, within the marketplace, this tells you which feeds have already been granted to your account for you to access. And you can see here at the top, I've got 36 feeds available out of a potential 54. It's probably worth noting that in addition to the feeds that have been made available to me, there are other feeds at the bottom which I can apply for. And if I want to apply for additional feeds, I can simply apply by clicking a link on the right-hand side. So having established which feeds we've got access to in the GSE, we can start to think about how we might receive signals. So in terms of looking at signals on the platform directly and sort of taking what we call manual exports of data, we would go to latest activity on the left-hand side. And from in here, you start to see the most recent signals that we've received from the GSE. This also gives you a very helpful idea of the format of data that we'd receive from the GSE, such as the signal, the reported date, the provider, and also the sort of status and type of signal that we're looking at here. Within this view, it's possible to filter to certain providers. And as we mentioned, these will be the providers that you have access to as shown within the marketplace. So for today, I'm going to filter this to just the before AI feed, for example, here, and I'll get a set of signals. And I can simply, if I want to, export those signals using the export data function here and this button here, and I'll be prompted to then choose the format I'd like to receive the data in, and I can also limit the data. Should note the maximum limit for export is 10,000 rows at a time, but you're very welcome to sort of page through and get different sets of data. And whatever you export will be the same as the filtered set that you see behind here. More often than not, though, however, the usual way of extracting data from the GSE will be via API. This allows for bulk export and also export sort of machine to machine in a sort of near real-time basis. And we go to the receiving signals section on the left-hand side, and you can see the various APIs that we have available. As alluded to, the GSE is designed for what we call near real-time sharing, which means that as people share data with us, you can extract the data in almost real time from the platform. And the data that you extract in that way will be in effectively the raw format it was received largely. And you can see on the right-hand side here in what we call the response section, the format of data that you would typically receive from any of the APIs that we use for extraction. This includes the core data of the signal and the source, obviously the report date, the import date, which are both in standard database format, as you can see there for the dates. Also, there's indicators as to whether the data is predictive. And if the vendor has supplied a confidence score, that will also be made available to you as part of the data you receive from these APIs. Finally, it's worth noting that there are different types of report that you can receive via the receiving data. Obviously, the new reports are reports that have been received directly, and you can also receive what we call feedback reports, which will be covered in more detail in another one of these videos. Aside from that, there's extra data as well, which is often data which the vendor has supplied, which may augment the signals further. It may add extra context to a given signal or add other attributes which end up enriching the data structure as well. So in broad terms, we have what we call the sort of more real-time signal APIs, which are very much time limited. The 24-hour signal one is the one that will provide you with the most flexibility in querying. This allows you to query data pretty much in whatever way you like, using simple sort of filtering and Boolean filtering, as well as providing access to our advanced query language, which allows you to provide much more advanced queries as well. And that will give you data up to the last 24 hours with lots more flexibility. Beyond that, you can go back as far as 30 days with a 30-day API. That's useful if you want to go back a bit further in time. And for those that want to get the full historical archive of data from the GSE, that can be done on a per source basis by using our all signals by source API. And this allows you to supply a single source string and then to get all the data back as far as you like. And basically that's filtering by ID, but that allows for sort of pulling all the data we have for a given source as far back as we have it. It's worth noting that if you want to access data for a single source, you'll often need to know what the source key is. For example, the account activated sources API returns for you the list of all the sources that you have accessible with their keys for that reference point. So that's very useful. The final API I'd like to touch is what we call the signal log API. This allows you to return all the reports that we've received for a given signal, which is really useful if you want to look at the history for a given signal. That one will include all of the reports, including the new reports, as well as any feedback reports we've received, and can be accessed using this final endpoint. That's all for today. Thank you for watching this video.